Shout out to all y'all in the lower 48 because the Buffalo Bills scored 1 point for each of y'all against the Lions. Sorry, but not sorry. Eminem, Axel Foley, all y'all up in Detroit. Welcome to the Mafia Minute. I am Magnum Mills here with Jamie G, and we are breaking down the Bills' Week 15 victory in Detroit. That was a big one, but there's still more season left. Thank you for checking out the Mafia Minute. We are presented by CZGAP Fantasy Football. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube or on social media at CZGAPFF and on the World Wide Web at MafiaMinute.com. Nice and easy to remember for you, just like the flaps, FLAPS. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please remember to hit the thumb. Jamie G, you were maybe cautiously pessimistic heading into this one. You got the worst of it with the injuries. It was just like you feared. 75% of the secondary out. Didn't really have the defense show up the way you wanted to, but you got the win. How are you feeling after this one?
Can we just do this? Like, let's just cancel the playoffs and just have like a best of seven Super Bowl between the Lions and the Bills. Like, this was awesome, man. This was so much fun to watch. I'm so proud of the way the Bills responded here. And I know they gave up 42 points against the league's best offense, but I saw a dramatic improvement in the defensive performance, particularly on the defensive line. Ed Oliver had the best game of the season for him. He had an unbelievable amount of quarterback pressures. At one point, I see him straight up just steamrolling, just blowing up their center. Ragnow is one of the better offensive linemen in the league. I thought all in all, the defense was better considering some of the injuries. And really the difference in the game was them getting those first couple of stops early on. And then the Bills offense was just on unstoppable in this game, really. So feeling great, man. It was an incredible game. I love the response of this team. That tells me that this team, they care, right? And they care what the coach says. They care about being challenged. They care about the product they're putting on the field. And I love it, man. I'm so happy. I was on cloud nine after that game, during the game. It was so much fun. And I don't have any ill will or hatred towards the Lions. I'm proud of them, and their fan base deserves it. They're a really good football team. But that was a fun one, man. I was just love that the Bills came out on top there.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you passed the injury virus on to the Lions. It's looking pretty ugly for them. I know it wasn't good for the Bills coming into that game. It wasn't good for the Lions either, but it is even worse for them coming out. So, again, you never wish injuries on anybody, but might make it a little bit easier for my Philadelphia Eagles. So, I'm not going to hate you for it. Not much here for the Bills on parade. Not a lot of news that's not related to the game. The one thing that you should know is the next week's game, the Week 16 game against the Patriots, has been moved to the 4 p.m. window. It's now kicking off at 4:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on CBS. So if you were locked and loaded waiting for that game at 1 o'clock, you are not going to see it. It is in the late window now. Just something to be aware of.
One more piece of news here. It was released this morning that the Bills will be, for the first time this season, wearing an alternate uniform combo, and it is clean and fresh. So fresh and so clean. Oh, man. Red jersey, white pants, red socks. It is fresh to death with the white helmet. I'm really excited about this jersey combination against the Pats this coming up week at home.
And it's always a good look with that one if you get enough snow, so it just looks like a disembodied red jersey running around out there because all the white
Yeah.
blends in with the snow. It's like a video game when it glitches. It's a very good time. Let's move into the game review, starting with the final score prediction. Jamie G, you went big with the Bills and the Lions, really. You had 41-38, and somehow you still came in under the total. Bills 48, Lions 42. I don't know what to say other than you went big, and you didn't quite go big enough, my friend.
As soon as this game got started, I was like, this is going to be an over smash here. Didn't expect 48 to 42, but as long as we had 48, they had 42, your boy's happy.
Again, happy with the outcome, but that is 2 weeks in a row that the Bills have been involved in the highest scoring game in the NFL. Like last week, you set the season high. This week, you exceeded it. You set it again. How do you feel about this one? Are you more encouraged about the offense? They can score 40 points against anybody, or discouraged about the defense that they're giving up the most points, that they're, really giving up all year here, trending in the wrong direction a little bit? I know the answer is probably a little bit of both. Which one outweighs the other one? The excitement about the offense or the worries about the defense?
I think the excitement about the offense for me, Mills, I mean, putting up 30 points in a row virtually, I think the last 8 or 9 weeks, which puts us in rare air. You look at the other teams in history that have done that. It's, Kurt Warner's Rams. It's peak Tom Brady's Patriots. And it's there's one more team in there. It's escaping me now, but another like very elite offensive performance, and then the Bills, right? So it's rare air, and I think I'm really encouraged about that because I think we've proven the Bills have proven that they can beat you in so many different ways offensively. Don't get me wrong, I'm concerned about the defense letting 40 points up in 2 weeks, but two really kind of tough matchups for the Bills the last 2 weeks in a row on the road. I don't know that that's going to be, they're not going to face a Puka Nacua and a Cooper Cup every week. They're not going to face the league's #1 offense every week that's been putting up just as much points, if not more points than the Bills. So I think that you'll see that number come down a little bit. Certainly, I hope so over the next 3 weeks. But I think this is a more encouraged by the offensive performance than I am discouraged by the defensive performance, but certainly concerned. We got to see that number come down.
I think the injuries back what you're saying there, and that the offense has been playing pretty well despite not really being at full strength. And the defense here, again, missing 75% of your secondary is a tough look. So I think there's room for improvement on both sides. I think obviously more room for improvement on the defensive side with that performance. Just one thing to watch. Hopefully you don't have any more of these indoor games. Sometimes you get indoors on that fast track. It helps some of these offenses, especially the timing based ones. So another important reason, even if you can't be at high mark, you want to be out in the elements in the winter. I think that will work towards the Bills' favorites. Let's look at that injury report real quick. It looked like it was going to be a little bit better one going into the week, and then maybe not as good as we were hoping. Players that missed week 15 include cornerback Rasul Douglas. He's got a knee. Safety Taylor Rapp on the injury report with a neck and shoulder injury. Casey Toohill, defensive end with a ribs. And safety Damar Hamlin with a back and ribs. And as far as injuries that were picked up during the game, you have Curtis Samuel with a shoulder. He's kind of been battling some of these nagging injuries all season long. And then linebacker Dorian Williams, who had an elbow injury. Any thoughts on any of these? Who are you most concerned with getting back here in a quick fashion? Will the Bills push it at this point? I know they still have a shot at the 1 seed, but you want to make sure these guys are healthy for the playoffs. How do you think they're going to play this one? Any thoughts on the injuries?
Yeah, and one more on there too, Mills is linebacker Matt Milano left with a groin injury. It doesn't appear to be super serious, but he didn't continue in the game. So I mean that's something worth noting too. I think the big one for me here is Taylor Rapp. I really think he's a tone setter back there, and he's not out of position often. Really would like to get him back. He's got the most experience, having played kind of last year. The Bills did more of a three safety look, and he got a ton of experience last year with the Bills when they were battling injuries with Hyde and Poyer there. So I think he's a big one for me. Don't get me wrong, encouraged by the rookie Cole Bishop. I think he's getting some valuable experience, but I don't know that he's ready for prime time just yet. So I'd like to get Taylor Rapp back in there. Hill's a nice rotational piece, but I think we can, make sure get him healthy. And of course, you'd love to have Hamlin back there as well. But I wasn't down on Cam Lewis, who played in his stead there. I thought Cam Lewis added spark, added intensity, big hitter, was flying around, making plays. So I think we can kind of get by there. Curtis Samuel is an interesting one for me. He did finish the game, kind of got banged up, came back in there. I like the chess piece in this game. The weird thing about it, we put up 48 points, Mills. Everyone got involved. Tons of people in the end zone. It was this offensive performance. I don't think I remember one time mentioning Amari Cooper. So we literally did that without our bona fide number. So it's like there's tons of options. I think Joe Brady's just so good at devising a game plan that's really game specific week in and week out. And this happened to be a week where they knew they could attack some of the secondary with the running backs, particularly in the passing game, and it worked well. Curtis Samuel's kind of that chess piece that you can move in and out. So I like having him in the lineup, even though it doesn't always show up in stats. I think that's also a big player here to make sure we have.
He's the guy you spent the most money on this offseason. So it's one of those things, even if he doesn't much here, if he makes one massive play in a playoff game, it'll all be worth it. So that's kind of what you're saving it for. It's not necessarily the number of snaps that Samuel plays, but the quality with him. Number of ways you can use him, like to get him maybe a little bit more involved. Now let's review Jamie G's keys, the keys to victory for the Bills from week 15. Did we pass? Did we fail? Something in between. Jamie G, how did we do with the keys in week 15?
Well, key number one, put the special back in special teams. And unfortunately, while overall there was an improvement, this is a fail because look, the Bills, they did just about everything we asked and we needed, but you cannot, and I repeat, cannot under any way, shape, or form have your kicker miss a 24-yard field goal, especially in a gosh darn dome. Just inexplicably bad here. It's the shortest field goal missed all season. It's bad, dude. You cannot do that. Now Bass did come in and make the 50-yarder later in the game or whatever, but like, dude, come on, man. Can't miss a 24-yarder. That's really, really bad. Now I will credit special teams overall. We limited Detroit in the return game, and we got a pretty big return of our own from Matt Collins with that 38-yarder on Detroit's first onside kick attempt with 12 minutes left. And we did convert the two onside. We did recover the two onside kicks. The last one definitely a little bit nerve-wracking. And shout out to Detroit's kicker. Those were the best two bounces I saw all season on onside kick. It's less than 7% chance of recovering it. Those were the best two I've seen all season long. So good job by Bates over there. And it's just awesome to see Matt Collins contributing on special teams, even though playing a little bit less snaps on offense. He's just such a team guy, dude. I love seeing him out there. Jamie G's keys number 2. Forced Dan Campbell to roll the dice on fourth down. This is a pass, Mills. Not only did we do that, we forced him to make some crazy decisions, basically in an admittance that, hey, we got to steal a possession because we can't stop the Bills' offense. And to their credit, the Lions did go 3 for 3 on fourth down, but they went 6 for 13 on third down, which was good enough to get the job done here. And of course, we forced them into that crazy decision to kick an onside kick with 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Pretty wild stuff there. So I think all that is a pass for the Bills. Jamie G, key number 3. Use the Lions' emotions and crowd energy against them. This was a pass. I think technically the Bills, I think they had more penalties for more yards here. I think we had 6 penalties, 49 yards, while Detroit had 5 penalties for 41 yards. But the Bills didn't hand the Lions a single first down with their penalties, while 2 of the Lions' 5 penalties resulted in the first down for the Bills. That's awesome. It's close, but I think it's enough to call it a win here, Mills. It certainly didn't. We didn't allow that to affect what we did offensively. So I'm calling that a pass. And then key number 4 here, stealing one from the old NBA playbook. Don't give up the late 3. And this was also a pass. The Bills, we built the lead throughout the game, at one point up 21, but kind of consistently up 2 scores, 2 possessions. Even after the Lions scored that late touchdown, they still needed to recover the onside kick and score a touchdown to tie the game. Late field goal wasn't going to bail them out this time. And, had the late touchdown to Dalton Kincaid not been taken off by an imaginary hold that didn't even exist, the lead would have been even bigger. What a special play that, won't get the airtime and the quality and credit it deserves. It was awesome. It was just one of those classic Josh Allen magic plays. But it was still awesome, even though a bullshit penalty took it off the board. Shouldn't even have came down to that onside kick. But I digress. All in all, Mills, I'm saying pass on 3 out of the 4. Good enough for a win.
Yeah, he's just trying to tie in the whole NBA thing to Josh Allen throwing the touchdown with the chest pass. And it was pretty good form with the 2 hands on it. That's how they teach it in gym class. It was a very quality chest pass. Don't be
It
throwing the
was.
bounce passes in the NFL. That's not cool. No one's going to get credit for those, but you can throw the chest pass. Just very difficult to do.
And he even did the look away, Mills. He even did the look away. Looked away, knew it was a touchdown. It was very NBA-esque.
He's either doing that or he's doing the Thriller dance, one of the two. I couldn't
Yeah,
tell the
one of
difference.
the two.
And you also had some predictions. You were coming in hot, and you had 3 levels of predictions, kind of like we like our Buffalo Wings. You had a mild prediction, a medium prediction, and a hot one. How did those work out for us?
Yeah, mild. Hey, man, we said the cavalry arrives. Either Dalton Kincaid or Keon Coleman scores a touchdown. This one feels cheap, Mills. We got to give it a fail. That Dalton Kincaid touchdown did not count because of a mysterious holding penalty, but Kincaid did tie Shakir for team lead in targets. Good to have him back in there. He had 7 targets, and again, should have had that late touchdown. Coleman, while he didn't score and he only had 2 targets, one of them was a massive game-changing play here. Caught the 64-yard reception on an absolute rope from Josh Allen as he's getting hit. Unbelievable throw, unbelievable catch. That's why we drafted the guy. That's an impact. I think both these guys made a big impact. Neither technically scored. but both found ways to help the team. And it was nice to see both them guys back in the lineup, man. That's big for us. So it's a fail, but it's a fail I can live with. The medium, Mills. This one was spicy. We said we were going to turn up the difficulty on Sonic and Knuckles. The incredible rushing attack of the Detroit Lions with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. The Bills will hold the Lions to under 125 rushing yards. Mills, I'm happy to report this is a pass, baby. Detroit only finished with 48 rushing yards as a team. And believe it or not, Jared Goff had 13 of those 48 in what seemed to take 8 minutes to watch him run them. That's how slow he is. Bills, don't let him scramble like that. All in all, pass. I'm really impressed with this. This was something I was really worried about, Mills. And the Bills did a good job here. Coming in very, very hot, the new 30-30 club. The Bills will score more than 30 points, extending their streak to 8 games while holding the Lions to under 30 points. Mills, this is a fail, but you know what, dude? We still extended our streak to 8 straight games. We got the 40-40 club, I guess, right? I mean, giving up 42 points isn't great under any circumstances, but Detroit did add a late garbage time touchdown. We almost got there, but I'm still happy that we continued our streak at 30 points. So it's a fail, but it's a fail I can live with.
Again, if you had maybe full power in your secondary there, maybe you could have held them under the 30. But the most
Yeah.
important number is the one. That's the win in the win column there in the standing. That's the only number we care about here. And let's just kind of look at a couple other small things from the game. When you go over to Pro Football Focus, it actually looks like Kair Alam really stepped up a little bit. He had the highest coverage grade for the Bills. So again, maybe it's a little bit of not the best thing to look at when you're giving up 42 points. You know, who had the best day within that? But as a guy who had been inactive, it was nice to see him step up. He was graded at 68 by PFF. Kareem Jackson was at a 65.9, and Jamarcus Ingram at a 62.4. So a lot of those guys that were playing increased snaps did step up a bit. How concerned are you with Taron Johnson here? He's definitely been struggling over the last month or so. And when you look at his grades, this was a player who improved basically every year after his rookie year, got better year over year over year. Last year, he peaked at a PFF grade at 77.3. This year, he's down at 61.3. Is this anything to do with the injury? Is this team's targeting him in the slot? Is this just a bad run? You know, you had to face Puka, then Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's just been a tough matchup thing. Any real worry about Taron Johnson, or is this just a rough stretch?
He had the injury in game one. I think it was worse than what was let on. He missed a lot of time. I think he's still kind of rounding into form here, and he's had a couple of really tough matchups in the slot. The Bills ask him to do so much. I'm not necessarily worried. I still think he's been there's room for improvement, but I think he's been solid in the run game. They haven't really used him in a blitzing capacity yet, but I think he'll be all right. I think it's mostly just a two crazy matchups in a row here, right? I mean, look, Puka Nacua is fantastic. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think, is the best slot receiver in the NFL. So I mean, you put those two things together back to back. It's no wonder that he struggled. And also, they're basically putting him on an island. There's not a lot of help because of what they're doing and how banged up they are in the secondary. So I think all that goes hand in hand. I think he'll be all right.
I hope so too. If Demario Douglas roasts him for 100 and a touchdown in week 16, then maybe we will be a little worried. But again, I think you get the benefit of the doubt based on the quality of the matchups. And then just kind of worth noting when you're looking at some of the snaps played, I believe Bills played 77 snaps on offense, ton of plays. Dawson Knox actually led by a fair bit over Kincaid. Knox played 51 snaps, Dalton Kincaid 34. I wonder if maybe that'll be a little bit how it is going forward. We saw this last year a little bit, and then these numbers kind of flipped. And at the beginning of the year, I think they were the other way with Kincaid playing slightly more snaps, but after Knox being in there and the success they've had, I mean, that's fine, right? Kincaid didn't play as many snaps. He's still tied for the team lead in targets, so he doesn't necessarily have to be out there as much. Somewhat surprising, Keon Coleman actually led the way with 44 snaps amongst the wide receivers. Shakir was second at 41. Matt Collins still at 35 snaps. Cooper at 32. Samuel at 19. Are you at all worried that Amari Cooper drew 0 targets in 32 snaps?
Kind of, but I think it's game plan specific this week. I've seen this with Joe Brady. They want to be multiple in what they do, and it's based on how they're going to attack the other team's weaknesses. And I'll tell you, you see Coleman, you see Shakir, you see Hollins. Those guys, it's because they block. Keon Coleman is one of the best young blocking wide receivers I've seen in a long time. Shakir, he's willing to get in there and block, and they move him around so much to keep, in the shifts and the formational stuff to keep the defense guessing. Matt Collins, one of the best blockers in the NFL at the wide receiver position. I think that was more so what they wanted to do, game plan specific. I'm surprised Cooper didn't get a catch, didn't get a target, but I think it had more to do with what they were trying to do offensively, with exploiting some of the weaknesses on Detroit's defense, going after, passing the football to the running backs, and then we also had a couple of big runs too. We were able to run the football here, so I worried, no, surprised, yes. You'd love to see him get more involved, but on the other hand, I'm kind of like, damn, dude, we scored 48 points without having Amari Cooper even catch a football. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. I don't know.
I think it's just a function of the everybody eats. There's going to be games like this. It is a little odd that he didn't get a single target, but again, Coleman played the most snaps and only got two. So I don't
Right.
think it's crazy. It's just, again, a function of the offense. Like you said, they had a pretty clear plan of how they were going to attack, especially the linebackers in coverage with the backs and the tight ends. And if you look at the running backs, Cook played 29 snaps, Johnson 21, Davis 18, almost an even three-way split here. Do you think that's about how it's going to go going forward, or do you think this is a case where Johnson got some extra snaps in there because they were specifically trying to get him involved in the passing game?
I think so. I think he got some extra snaps, but honestly, I think now they know that he can do that, and he's proven it. If that becomes an area of attack, I wouldn't surprise me to see him do it again. He's been outstanding catching the football, and honestly, he's been really good change of pace. Him and Davis. I think this is probably where you'll get, but I think if the game is more kind of ground and pound, you're going to see Davis probably get those 21, and then Johnson maybe get the 9 to 13 kind of snap count. So I think those two will be interchangeable based on, game plan going in. But shout out to Ty Johnson, dude. It was also kind of nice going against the team that drafted him. Maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know, but it was good to see.
Yeah, nice game. Unfortunately, probably not going to set up the same way over the next couple of weeks. So if you're out there in your fantasy league, you might be tempted looking at that to go pick him up. And I don't know if he's
Right,
going to get, 5 to 7 targets again this week or something like that. It might go a little
right.
bit back to normal. And if the Bills are really doing it, like you said, it's probably Ray Davis who's in there getting those carries at the end. Johnson a little bit more focused on the passing game. Anything else about this one we haven't touched on that you'd like to mention?
Just how well the offensive line played. I think we continued to 5 consecutive games without a sack for Josh Allen. Detroit coming in, yeah, they had some injury concerns, but they got healthy on the defensive line, with getting a bunch of guys back in DJ Reader. I know they lost McNeil there, which is terrible to see. You hate that. He's a great player, but he played throughout the game there and got hurt late. But I was impressed with the offensive line, both in the running game and protecting Josh. This was actually, I think, Josh's, was his took the most time before passing the football, out of any game this season. It wasn't by much, but I think it's worthy to note here. And basically was kept clean. Took a couple of big shots as he rolled out of the pocket and tried to make something happen down the field, which he did on, I think, all but one. But yeah, I shout out to the offensive line, man.
Always want to point out the big uglies down there. That brings us into the award tour here. We need to highlight our absolute favorite stuff, the best stuff from this week 15 victory, starting with the Mafia moment. Jamie G, again, probably a lot of candidates here. What's your favorite moment from this week 15 victory?
This is a tough one, Mills. Probably, honest to God, it was probably Taron Johnson recovering the onside kick at the end of the game. And I'm going to go there. Look, any of the touchdowns were amazing. Anything Josh Allen did was amazing. Ty John, all of it, great. The deep ball, the Keon Coleman, incredible. But I got it. That was a game-saving play. The last thing we needed was a last second risk of losing this thing. Him coming up with that, and again, I'm crediting Detroit's kicker. That was the two of the best onside kick. I know the one went for, Matt Collins made an incredible play, but the bounce was right on that. The bounce was right. He got the third bounce, and that's what you need on these onside kicks. Same thing on that one over the middle, and the ball was coming out, and one of the Detroit defenders need it back in, to Taron Johnson. So we really needed him to come up with that ball. It was a tough moment as a Bills fan because we did everything we needed to win that game. Shout out to Taron Johnson for coming up with it, man. I got to give that moment as my favorite Mafia moment.
Yeah, it was the first time you could probably really breathe for that the whole game right there. So I kind of get it. All that matters is who comes up with it at the bottom of those piles. But those are always scary because you don't know how it's going to work out. So as long as he came out with it, that's all we care about. Now we need to give our Mafia MVP, just like it sounds, the most valuable player from this one. Jamie G, again, you probably have a couple options, but I'm pretty sure, I think we all know where you're going with this one.
We're gonna surprise the world, Mills, and I'm giving it up to Ty Johnson. What a game, man. What a game. He was responsible for multiple huge plays down the field in the passing game, completely surprised me. These were not easy catches. He is not a wide receiver. He's a running back. I think he proved he's the best third down back in the league, at least in the top five. I love the guy as a teammate. I've been high on him since last season when he came in the Bills and really started to get going down the stretch. Looks like that could happen again this year. Yes, Josh Allen is worthy. He should be the MVP. I got to give it up to my guy, Ty Johnson. When's the next chance I'm going to get to do that? Shout out Ty Johnson, man. He did it.
So you're doing a T Johnson thing, is what you're doing here. You got the
I
chair
am.
on and the tie. Yeah, can they get some kind of like Black Thunder, White Lightning thing going on or something like that? Some double impact. Can we get a movie with these two, the two ties, or the T Johnsons or something like that? Got to be somewhere we can go with that one. It's at least
And
a
there's got to
T-shirt
be
or
a Mr.
something.
T in there somewhere, right? I mean, there's got to be a Mr.
Yeah,
T
let's
in
get
there
Mr.
somewhere.
T. Let's get these guys involved in an A-team reboot. I'm sure Mr. T would be into that at this point. Let's bring back
Love
the
it.
A-team, dude. Maybe Josh Allen can be the face man there. We will see. That brings us to our Bills bets. We need to review our results here. Unfortunately, I took the L. I thought the Bills were going to get back on the turnover train. They did recover a fumble, but unfortunately, Jared Goff did not throw an interception, so I lost on that one. Jamie G, you were right with your guy. You didn't go with the standard Josh Allen 2+ touchdown passes. You went with Josh Allen 275 plus passing yards. That was plus 140. You got there, so you turned your 100 Bills bucks into 240. And then we had a tripod, a three-leg single game parlay for this one. And unfortunately, we got 2 out of 3, which ain't bad, but it doesn't get you paid off. We had Josh Allen over 298.5 passing plus rushing yards, the combo yards there. That got there. We had Josh Allen anytime touchdown scorer. That got there really early. Unfortunately, we also had that Jared Goff over 0.5 interceptions in there. So that didn't get it done for us. We are still up on the season overall, about 314 bucks, being held up by our tripods, up about 425 on those. Jamie G's in the green, up about 287, and now I'm significantly in the red. Thank you for that, Jared Goff. Down about 398 Bills bucks. And we had a couple of Draftkings picks for you. No surprise, we told you to go with Josh Allen at your captain spot, which was fine, but technically, believe it or not, you wanted Jared Goff in there, scored almost the exact same number of points at Josh Allen, but he was cheaper. Gave you a little bit more room. We did say you could throw Khalil Shakir in there as a tournament captain. Again, you probably wanted Allen or Goff if you weren't going that way. It was definitely Amon-Ra St. Brown on the other side. And on the higher end of the value plays, we said, maybe you could play Amari Cooper or Keon Coleman. Coleman didn't kill you with that one catch for 64 yards at 6,400, but Cooper with the donut at 7K was not great. But we said if you want to get cheap, you can go Curtis Samuel at 2,800. Not that great. Or Ty Johnson at 2,400. That one worked out like gangbusters. You needed him in there. On the other side of the ball, we said the favorite Lion play would be Jahmyr Gibbs. That was fine. He did good. He paid it off. Amon-Ra St. Brown was better. That we highlighted Tim Patrick as a value play. He was fine, but not getting enough done for you at 4,400. So we said, if you want to play it safe, you can play Allen, play Khalil Shakir. You work in Amari Cooper or Keon Coleman, run it back with Gibbs. That lineup didn't kill you, especially if you went with Coleman over Cooper, but it wasn't optimal. Really what you wanted Josh Allen, you wanted Khalil Shakir, you wanted Ty Johnson, you wanted Amon-Ra St. Brown, you wanted Sam Laporta, you wanted Jared Goff, you wanted some combination of those guys in there. And that would have won you all the money. But again, never wrong to go with Josh, a captain. That has been paying off all year. You got to stick with it. And finally, we have one last order of business, and that is the Mafia Mannequin. If you've ever seen the movie Major League, we are doing something similar to that. In that movie, they started out with a fully clothed mannequin. Every time they won a game, they took something off of it. Here, we started out with a pretty much naked mannequin, and every time the Bills win, we put something on him, we give him an accessory, we're doing something. So this guy started out basically naked at Tailgate Village. Since then, he has gained a lot of stuff. He's got some Labatt's Zubaz beers. He has a pet ocelot named Babu. He's got a table to put stuff on. He's got Ryan Fitzmagic's beard. He's got a nice diamond chain. He's got a Fred Jackson jersey. He's got some aviator shades. He's got a chicken wing hat. He's got a lot going on here, but we got some room. We got another victory. We need to add something else. Jamie G, what are we giving to the mannequin?
Mills, what's a tailgate without some food? Let's get this guy a grill. He can put all sorts of stuff on it, be the life of the party. You got to have a grill at the tailgate. You got to be eating to soak up all that alcohol you're drinking as you're priming up for a Bills game. Let's give the man a grill.
And to be clear, the cooking grill, not like a Paul Wall grill. So the actual grill you cook
Absolutely.
food on, that's good because we don't have enough room there under the Fitzmagic beard. We're out of real estate in the mouth area. So that makes a lot of sense to get the grill going on in there. You know, you're drinking all this. Pretzels are making me thirsty. This beer is making me hungry. Same difference. And I think that about does it. We will be back in a couple of days to preview that matchup against the Patriots. Thanks again for checking out the Mafia Minute presented by CSGAP Fantasy Football. Find us wherever you get your pods and on YouTube, on social media at CSGAPFF, and on the web at MafiaMinute.com. That isn't that hard to remember. Trust me. So while you're at it, please remember the flaps. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please make sure you hit the thumb. I am Magnum Mills. He's Jamie G. And his final job is to get you excited not only about this win over the Lions, but this upcoming matchup against the Patriots and the next episode of the Mafia Minute.
Bills Mafia, I love you, baby. What a win. I know you're still celebrating. Enjoy it all week long. And just take a moment and pause. Those of us that have been through all the heartbreak, those of us that were through, 19 years of terrible play, couldn't find a quarterback, just pause and appreciate what you're seeing here. Pause and appreciate another week of Josh Allen creating history and breaking records. It's not normal to have that happen every week. I know it feels like it because we're living in it. Take a moment, pause, be thankful this holiday season. Be thankful for these Bills. Be thankful for number 17. Enjoy this one. Go Bills. We'll see you back in a couple days to get ready for the Pats, baby. We'll see you then. Go Bills.